Today we're going to be talking about approaches to improving management information systems. To begin with, I'd like to indicate what I'm talking about by asking a couple of questions. One, how do you store and retrieve detailed project information? That'll be our primary example. Things like tasks and issues, problems that come up, contracts that you deal with, policies, regulations, also the decisions that you have to make, questions that you have to answer, your requirements, your specifications, etc. Often valuable information of this type is stored as spreadsheets, custom databases, email messages, written notes, sticky notes, Word documents, voicemail, and frequently buried in meeting minutes. Physically, where is this information stored? Well, if you're lucky, it might be quickly available on your PC or also the shared drive, your desk, someone else's desk, your filing cabinet, someone else's filing cabinet, the web, the laptop, or one of your flash drives. What are the problems with retrieving information using this kind of system? Well, first of all, you need to remember the name of a file to find it, and you need to remember where that file is stored. There are probably multiple copies of important records, and how do you know you have the latest version? Final two questions. How long does the typical search for information take, and how many searches do you do every day? Let's take a look at the typical project spreadsheets. This is where much of our information is stored. Often we will have on the left side a subject, and this is the task that has to be performed. Next to that, the item due date. When is this task due? A priority column probably, and the name of the responsible party, and then on the right a description field to take notes. Let's try and improve this spreadsheet a little bit just to see what more mileage we can get out of it. On the left, I've highlighted the item due date column, and you can do sorting and searching based on due date to give you sort of a calendar format. On the right is the priority, and you'll see down below at the bottom a 1 and a 2 priorities are automatically highlighted based on what's called conditional formatting in Excel. So this is just a little improvement over the standard spreadsheet, but basically it's tinkering around the edges. Let's see if we can make some real improvements to the spreadsheet. One, would it be possible to consolidate all of our spreadsheets into one spreadsheet? That means all project work would be located in one place. Could we put items besides project tasks on this spreadsheet? Things like issues or problems, all other to-dos, and other information integrated into the same file. If we could, it might be possible to come up with one source for all current activities that could be shared among the staff. One single central location. Let's take a shot at that with making a better spreadsheet. We're going to add two columns. You'll notice in the middle on the right is a column called the project field. And there we can put the name of the project in, which means every one of our entries can be identified as a different project, and we can extract the entries we need by sorting and searching on the project field. On the left, we've added an item type column, so we can say that most things are tasks, but there are some things like decisions or questions or other things that we have to deal with, so not everything on our spreadsheet is strictly a project task. Doing this, having organized this way, if you look on the right, we see Bobby is responsible for the first task, and we can, by just filtering out everything that Bobby is responsible for, we can see her tasks. If you look at the project in the center, we see she's got 4 projects that she's working on there, or 4 project tasks. One right in the middle doesn't have a project task, meaning it's something from a to-do list that's not related to a project. It doesn't even have a due date, so these are more casual things that she has to take care of. She can't overlook them, but it's integrated with all the other list of formal work that she has to do. What are the barriers to making these improvements using a spreadsheet? One, spreadsheets become unwieldy with more than 6 or 8 columns. And second, sharing spreadsheets for simultaneous use is impossible. One solution is to use a database instead of a spreadsheet because databases easily accommodate hundreds of fields and they can be shared. Here's a simple example using one of the tasks from our spreadsheet before, and if you look in the center, you'll see the subject field that we've been addressing all the time, and that is this task was to develop a list of potential suppliers. If you look up near the top, there is the field, item type, and this one is of course a task, but it could have been something else, and down below is the project, select the new LIS vendor. So we've used those three fields, the most common ones off of our spreadsheet, but displayed them in a form with a database. Now the power of a database goes much beyond managing the simple list, and if you look over at the right, you'll see start and due date information about this particular item, this potential supplier item. And we could easily, if we wanted to, enter a start date. This is supposed to start, this task should start on the 24th and finish by the 25th. That's straightforward whether it's a spreadsheet or a database. But the power of the database means that we can use a due date calculation algorithm, and based on whether we put an S or an E in the first box on the left, the due date will be calculated from the start or the end of the project. In this example, the due date is going to be start date plus 25 days, and a duration of 2 days will result on the dates on the right, 9/24 to start, 9/25 to finish. If we had used an E in the first box on the left, we could say something like E or end -5 to indicate that we wanted the task to be done 5 days before the end of the project. There's one additional very big benefit to this relative date calculation, and that is if we have a set of tasks that we want to use repeatedly, a project for example that we do multiple times, something like a publication schedule, something like an annual retreat for our clients, those things that repeat, we can let the program take the set of template tasks, calculate new due dates for all the tasks based on these relative calculations, and the new start and end dates for the project. Fortunately, databases can also be viewed as spreadsheets, and as a matter of fact, the spreadsheets that we've been looking at were actually tables in a database, and if you use that view, you are acting exactly like a spreadsheet, except there's somewhat more power in the database version. You could use the spreadsheet view to sort, search, and edit data, or use the single record view that we've just been looking at. Let's go one time back to how do we routinely use computers today, and why have we created such a problem? One, we've been thinking all along about the paperless office, but unfortunately we create more documents, whether they're paper or electronic, than ever before. We often have multiple copies of documents, and we have more places to store and lose those documents, but we still rely on human memory for retrieval. We often forget that word processors are great for creating attractive documents. Spreadsheets were designed for numeric calculation, and they do a marvelous job of that. Neither application, though, offers any significant retrieval capability, but that's where we store our important stuff. Is it any wonder we can't find anything? Let's just take two more quick slides about the database. If we had the information we've been talking about in a database, that is tasks and due dates, and if we had a report prepared or designed for calendar purposes, it would take 2 mouse clicks to generate a report or a calendar by due date. If you look on the left, we see months of April and May, and the tasks by week of May 3rd. And if you look at May 3rd, we see by Friday the 8th, Fred has a task due, and it's related to reviewing the existing contracts. There on the right is his task, and right below that, Candace has a task as well. Hers is due on the 9th, and she has to increase the time for requesting upgrades. The database we've just been looking at very, very quickly is called the Management Tracker. It's a universal, integrated, shareable database that includes all types of information for management, whether it's projects or not projects. We've only looked at 2 very quick features, and if you see on the upper left, that was the master form that we were entering data, the form that has all information about a record that a spreadsheet could not easily display. And on the right end of the arrow, the button where I showed a calendar by due date. If you're interested in any more information about the generic subject of technology in the office, or if you want more information about the Management Tracker database, go to www.braille.com use the phone number and LinkedIn address on this slide. There will be more information about both of these topics in upcoming lectures. Thank you for your time. This is Gary Braley signing off.